Do you want to learn on how to deal with difficult life situations by increasing your level of awareness and consciousness? If that's something that truly excites you, then stay tuned in. That's exactly what I'm going to be talking about here in the next few minutes. This is DrGopikaKumar, your communication and your mindset coach. Let's get into discussing about the same right away. We're going to be exploring today a very interesting and an intriguing topic, which is to deal with your state of consciousness. We're all going through series of life experiences, and many a times to deal with those life experiences, we don't realize that our conscious, our rational way of thinking is sometimes very primed to react in a certain pattern. And I'm going to be speaking about those specific 4 patterns, or I may also refer to them as 4 different levels of consciousness. Now, what do I mean by 4 different levels of consciousness here means that we are all going through these patterns all the times. But if we learn them and we understand that we are going through these patterns, it will completely be in our hands with awareness and consciousness to change the consciousness level as well. So here is what I would like you to do. Draw a small little pyramid in your journal if you have your pen and paper along with me, and create 4 complete clear sections out of the same. We're referring to the 4 levels of consciousness. Right on top, put that across, right at the top of your pyramid, put that across as your level, which is your epitome of your consciousness, which is the level of awakening. I'm going to come and speak about this towards the end. Put that down as enlightenment, awakening, which is like what we refer to as you're getting your peace and your tranquility in this very zone. The second consciousness level below that, it's going to be the level of where you're going to surrender, where you're going to be in a peace where that I would like to be in this space as much as possible. I submit as much as I have. I also refer to this as a submission stage. The third stage, I want you to put that down in your complete, diagram that you're drawing for yourself, which is the state of achieving. I will be able to do this. It's possible within me. It's called an achiever stage as well. And the fourth stage, I'd like you to put that down as the very first and the foundation that we're going to start working with today itself, which is the state of victimhood, which is the state where we are feeling stuck, which is the state where we are not being able to move an inch, the victimhood. So we have all these 4 stages clearly laid out, and we refer to them as the consciousness levels: the victimhood, to achiever, to surrender, and to awakening. And I'm going to use different words and synonyms to also explain the same. In fact, this has been beautifully explained in the field of NLP as well, and we're going to use this for increasing our self-esteem altogether here. Let's talk about the very first consciousness level, that when we're going through a life experience, that we get into a state of victimhood, which means a state where I am giving up and I'm saying that ye to hona hi tha, this was ought to happen. I knew that I will not be able to get out of it. This is something that I was foreseeing for such a long time. So you start blaming a situation. You start looking at a situation as if it could have never been solved, and you start treating yourself as a victim of that situation rather than being able to see that what are the possibilities out of it. You start looking at it as a situation of what we call as a blame game. So you start putting across the blame into the entire situation. It could be people, events, experiences. Many a times in this kind of a situation of victimhood, you feel that there's nothing which is in your hands any longer. So imagine that, you're on a boat, you're in the middle of a river, and you have nothing to move the boat along or row the boat along. You're completely all by yourself in the middle of it, and you have absolutely no idea that how do you move yourself and make yourself turn and move around, and you're feeling that now you're stuck in a situation like this. We refer to this as victimhood. In a situation of victimhood, how is it that we will react to a life experience? We will instantly have, the ideology of giving up. We'll have that concept that mujhse nahi ho payega. This is something that is beyond my capacity to handle. So you'll be in a situation to give it up instantly. So we refer to this as a situation of victimhood. The second situation, which is your consciousness level, and we want to make sure that we're able to get each one of us out from this, is from victimhood, is the state of an achiever. So when your consciousness level says that it's not because of the situations and events and experiences and people, I have things in my hand and I can change things around it. I am an achiever and I will be able to make this work. When you think about it from all possibilities of making it work for yourself, so now imagine that you're in the middle of a river and you have no way to make the boat move around. You'll probably jump into the water and swim around and be able to find your way as well. You're in a situation where you're saying that I am an achiever. I can do it and I will make this possible. You're not going to give up. So yes, from one perspective, if I see an achiever is really motivated, it could be many of us at many a time where we pick ourselves up and we say that, my consciousness is not allowing me to submit. So, I'm going to make sure that I give it my very best. So you create situations for yourself and, you literally tell yourself that life is flowing, from me and I'm making it possible. Vis-a-vis in the first situation where you were saying that life is happening to me and whatever is happening to me and I have absolutely no control to change over it as well. Now imagine your consciousness levels. If you're able to increase them, increasing that frequency from victimhood, making that, go across to the other stage, which is the stage of being an achiever, you'll be in a much better space and situation to handle your life experiences. But many a times we could also get into a state where we could get frustrated. So I could have tried for getting myself a great job or a great package or a great salary or a good client or a big contract, and I might have been trying for it for a very long time. But if it is not happening and I'm still in the achiever state, my life experiences will say that, this level of consciousness isn't helping you and you'll be completely frustrated out of it. Agree? Now, if we are going to be, getting frustrated out of it, we'll again get into a state, we'll, go back to a state where we refer to this as victimhood again, where we're not being able to find any solution and we are like hitting against a dead wall completely. Is where I'm going to now bring in the third stage for each one of us, which is the state of surrender, which is the state of submission. So the first big difference in this state here and this level of consciousness here and how we'll be able to increase our level of consciousness here is where we say that life is not happening to me in the victimhood. Life is not happening from me in the achiever state, but life is happening through me. I'm just a medium. I'm just a source through which maybe I'm making the means possible for another being as well. So it could be a situation that you're an entrepreneur and you know that you have a flourishing business today. It could be going through some ups and downs. You don't need much in terms for your own living and well-being, but you're also saying at the same time where you're in a surrender stage and you say that, life is happening through me. I'm being able to provide the livelihood to so many more people because of the enterprise and the organization that I run. So life is happening through me. I'm more in, a situation where I believe in the work that I have carried out. And because I'm being able to create those, that value and that worth in my work, I get into that state where I'm surrendering. And surrendering doesn't mean that you're giving up any longer. In fact, this is a state where, it's more like you're creating your income, your experiences, your feel-good factor, your positivity, which is now lying latent into your human system, and you being able to use it. You're not demotivated, you're not misaligned, you're being able to pick yourself up. In fact, you're even able to inspire others at the same time. That's the state of a surrender. Now, the whole idea is that each one of us here listening to this, this piece right now, we should all be making an endeavor and struggle towards increasing our levels of consciousness. Whenever a life experience, that's something that we witness and we are experiencing, are we going through a state of what we call as victimhood? Then my emotions are always going to be of blame, it's always going to be of complaint, it's always going to be of regret. That's going to be the emotion and the baggage that I'm going to be carrying with myself. But if it's in a state that I'm able to rise it above victimhood and get to a state where I am into an achiever state, I'll be in a state where I can make it possible and I'm more empowered and I'm being able to inspire others. But if I'm able to move across even from an achiever state to a surrender state, which means that now I'm going to take everybody else along with me. So, a very personal little experience that, I'm going to share this along with you. Being in the coaching industry, as a coach for a very long time, I felt that as if things were not moving in the right direction. And because this is something that I have been envisioning for myself since 2010, I used to feel for so many years that I'm in a state of victimhood. It was only much later, back in 2016, when things started to really move around, is where I started realizing that no, I can and I must make it possible, and I must move in the direction of my dreams. Where I was an achiever, I was getting frustrated, I was getting many a times hit back, and I wanted to slow down. But then there are so many times, there are so many months, and I would want to mention quarters as well, where I was in a surrender state, and surrender state can change as well, which means where you can see the kind of experiences that your participants, your community, and the kind of work that you've contributed has been able to bring about a change thereby, where you feel that now life is happening through me. But let me remind you that you will never be able to keep all these stages, all of them, consistently going from day after day, weeks after week, months after months. These states, these levels of consciousness can continue to change as per your life experiences. What we're discussing here is that how do we build up our own capacity so that we first recognize and get aware that which consciousness level are we in, and to pick ourselves up and always endeavor to move into the next level and to move into the next level. And of course, at the top of this pyramid, we have the fourth level, which is the level of awakening, which is the level of enlightenment. This is the level where we feel that, everything that is happening to me had to happen because I was meant to be at the place that I was supposed to be. And now that I've contributed, what I will continue to contribute is a state that you feel completely, undisturbed, or, anything that comes along your way, any kind of financial losses or personal remarks, they're not going to deter you any longer because you're much in a state of what we call as awakening. I myself haven't really experienced that kind of a state of an enlightenment, but yes, while we are having to discuss the same, the entire aspect of reaching and scaling yourself up, your level of consciousness from one level to another, that's the whole idea of being able to discuss here in this very session today. So to really sum up all the learnings on what we have discussed today has been that how do we make sure that we are being able to increase our life frequency based on the life experiences that we're going through regularly, make sure that we can gather our emotional stability and rise up from one level of consciousness and thereby be able to move on to the next and to the next constantly and regularly. If that is something that you've been able to relate with, I would love to hear back that how you're using these different levels of consciousness for yourself in your respective domain. Do share your comments and feedback with us. It really helps us to keep, and stay motivated and continue to make many more such videos as well. Continue to go through this entire series where we are speaking about for 21 days that how do we create emotional well-being for high self-esteem. And this is only day 4. So make sure that you're able to watch the other videos in this entire series as well. Until then, I'm going to see you there in the next video. This is Dr. Gopika Kumar signing off.